from deep in an underground bunker in East Tennessee, this is America's premier mortgage fuel services expert, Paul Williams.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's Paul Williams, editor-in-chief, Foreclosurepedia.org. You're on the Foreclosurepedia podcast. Foreclosurepedia podcast is a presentation of the Foreclosurepedia radio network, which premieres weekly. Today, I want to talk to you folks about something. And the Foreclosurepedia Nation knows precisely what I want to talk about. I want to talk about blight. And our problems with blight is deeper than simply doing a clean out. We have a problem in the United States of America today. And that problem is that there are people we don't see. We do the clean outs, we do the foreclosures, but there are people in need who have a struggle. And the struggle is real, ladies and gentlemen. And the struggle impacts not only the young, but the old. And that struggle in and of itself poses a problematic issue in each and every one of our communities. Today I want to talk to you about Fight the Blight. I want to introduce you to a great close personal friend of mine, Mr. Matt Williams. Matt Williams hails from Irwin, Pennsylvania. Matt, are you out there?
I'm here, Paul. Thanks for having me.
And I apologize to the nation today. I have a little bit of sinus. You know, it goes with the wear and tear in the tread. But Mr. Williams, and by the way, there is no relationship between he and I. No brother from another. But Mr. Williams, can you talk to me a little bit about what Fight the Blight is?
Yeah, sure, Paul. Fight the Blight. Well, first off, it's a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and we formed, as the name suggests, to address community blight, but from a different perspective than is typical. We formed it with almost a proactive approach of assisting homeowners who are unable to maintain their properties. Typically, that's elderly or disabled homeowners, in just offering basic maintenance services to help those homeowners, such as general lawn maintenance, overgrowth removal, debris and trash removal, and also minor exterior repairs, handyman type work. And along the way, we also became maybe better known for our work with people who are dealing with hoarding disorder. So, those are kind of our service areas. We believe that, and that was a great intro and perspective that you provided on blight, because it's really seen, I think, by most people as a real estate problem or a property problem, and we see it more as a people problem than that. As a lot of people know, I do come from property preservation industry as well. I'm still active in that. But we see this aspect of it more as people preservation. Blight really being a sign, a very visible sign, maybe one of the only real, truly visible signs that we see every day. They indicate something in that person's life has gone off track, whether it's been a trauma, or a loss of spouse, or possibly an addiction. It could be many things, but we see it every day, and just kind of try to drive by and chalk it up as a nuisance, but it's really not a nuisance. It's an indication of somebody maybe waving a flag, saying that they need a little help. So that's what we're about.
So not to name drop, but you're not actually the run-of-the-mill nonprofit, are you? I mean, look, New York Times, yeah?
We did have
NPR, yeah?
Yeah.
And I heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, I heard you just appeared in front of your all's council up there, correct? So you have not only media that's interested in what you're doing and actually tracking the proven results. But you actually have government officials interested in what you're doing, yeah?
We do, yeah, and we're very thankful to have not only, as you mentioned, the government officials at different levels, and as well as media have become interested as well, because it's the areas that we serve are very underserved historically, and when we started this, when I founded the organization and kind of came up with the original idea, I kind of assumed as we introduced it into the community that people would say, oh, you do this, type of maintenance work for this, this population. And yeah, I know there's an agency that does something similar, or we know another nonprofit that does something similar. And what I found out pretty quickly was that wasn't the case at all. It was quite the opposite. There was really nobody feeling that need. And, when we look at the elderly or the disabled homeowner population, and it's an aging population in this country, and there's only going to be more of this, of people that are out there that for decades have done nothing but the right things. In so many cases, it's apparent they've immaculately maintained their homes, they've paid their taxes, they've done everything that they were supposed to do. And, through circumstances changing in one way or the other, they find themselves in a position where they're not able to do that. And there hasn't been anything for them, other than concern, that they're going to incur violations and just general, safety conditions. And there just hasn't been anything for that. And certainly not for hoarding disorder, which is also very misunderstood.
Would it be a fair statement to say that both blight and hoarding disorder, somewhat congruous, these are gender blind, racially blind, religiously blind situations? So, for example, might be white, might be Hispanic, might be African American, might even be Asian American. It impacts across all boundaries. Is that a fair statement?
It is, and also without regard to income. We've worked with people who are very affluent that deal with hoarding disorder, and others that are on the opposite side of the financial spectrum. But yeah, it's something that occurs without regard to all those aspects that you mentioned, and even without regard to geography. It's something that it happens in other areas of the world as well, not just across our country. And the statistics that I've seen, are that between 2 and 6% of the general population, are affected by hoarding disorder. And that translates to around 15 million people, I believe, across the country that would be affected. So it's a lot of people.
Absolutely. So I'm looking at your website. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, FightTheBlightInc.com. FightTheBlightInc.com. I love this color, this photo that's on here right now. So, ladies and gentlemen, you'll see it in the video. You'll know it when you go to the website, and please go there. I have this plant, if you will, growing up from the cracked, dry ground, and it is growing in almost this sense of blight and decay. Can you talk to the Foreclosurepedia Nation just a little bit about that image and what you hope it would evoke with people who see it?
Yeah, sure. That image is meaningful, and also the snow. It's in a snowstorm actually, and that's actually meaningful to me as well. But and we'll talk a little bit more about that, I think, shortly, hopefully, as to why. But just the fact that you look at these situations where traumas have occurred, where things have again gone off track for people, maybe not just with their properties, but typically that's a symptom of something that's happened in their life, manifesting itself out visually, and just to really instill with people that there is hope to come from that. People sometimes feel like they're broken beyond repair, and they've given up, and they don't feel seen, and they don't feel like they matter anymore. And I've been through some difficult times in my life where I felt that way, and the new growth there coming from what seems like nothing could grow from that, in cold weather, arid ground. There's that plant growing and thriving, and so that's really what it's to represent for people. That there is a way forward. Things can get better, and people just need to be seen and heard, and offered some support where they need it.
So here you've launched this nonprofit some years ago. You're actually impacting lives now. You're part of the status quo, if you will, because the government supports you, the community supports you. You're actually changing lives, and that could have been great. You could have continued with that, and yet you chose to expose yourself with this. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to mention the name of a book that Mr. Williams has just come out with. You chose to expose your journey. The raw feelings, the beliefs, and the structure of it. Ladies and gentlemen, the book, Mr. Williams, the author, Purpose Through Pain, A Journey from Tragedy to Healing. This is out right now, by the way, on Amazon. You can get it Kindle. I highly recommend it. An incredible journey with Mr. Williams. Why don't you talk to the Foreclosurepedia Nation just a little bit about this new book? You can get it right now, ladies and gentlemen, on Amazon. This thing is smoking hot on Kindle. But talk to us a little bit about that, Mr. Williams.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. I appreciate that. The book is a result of my desire to really convey to people a lot of what I just said. That the image that we were just describing is the cover image of the book, and it really tells the story not only of what my why is for being so passionate about the type of work that Fight the Blight does, but also, again, to give hope to people who are maybe dealing with things, think that they're broken, think that they may never move forward. The book is something, it's my story. Going back to, in my case, it goes back to, it begins with a traumatic event in my own life of my father was murdered in a random act of violence. And that did put me into, around a decade of some pretty dark, tough times that I dealt with. And I was able to eventually come through that. And it really discusses the impacts of, the circumstances of the situation with my father, what happened after that, how I was, and how hopeless I felt, and how I came out of it. And really focuses on the fact that I learned, even though I was never really a community guy, during this time, or really throughout my life, I was never really that guy, but I just kind of happened into some situations over time as I was coming out of this phase of my life and this period of my life where I was asked to help with some community service, and I did that, and it really lifted me up, and it really made me to realize that was the last piece of my puzzle that was really healing for me, therapeutic for me, and I wanted more of that.
Was there a segue? So here you chronicled your journey, and the nation is I as well. We stand with you. I mean, that horrid tragedy. But was there a segue from what happened then to what you're doing now?
Yeah, there was, and it does talk about it in the book. The segue really was realizing that I'd spent a decade depressed, even though I didn't realize I had been depressed. Eventually I realized I had been in trauma and depression. I was making all kinds of wrong choices, struggles with a lot of things, and just realizing that I needed to come out of that. And, the book really talks about a few things that were kind of planted in me, even the day that my father was murdered, about forgiveness, which became a very big cornerstone for me later. Years later, I actually heard a voice tell me that I needed to forgive the man who had killed my dad before I even knew who he was. And you kind of brush those things off. But, it was powerful and it stayed with me. And there came a point years later, the segue was really as I was trying to get right. I joined some groups. I had a struggle with alcohol, and I was trying to make that right. And I joined AA to try to address that. And they talk a lot about resentment in AA. And, first I kind of brushed it off, it's kind of something to fill the air, that people say almost like a slogan. But the more I heard it, the more I realized I was carrying a lot of that. And the only way that I could turn the corner with any type of longevity was to make amends with my situations, starting small and moving all the way up to the man who had killed my father. He was still out there on the planet, and learning that forgiveness was not forgiveness in the sense of, it's okay, we can be friends, everything's fine. It's forgiveness and just giving up that baggage that I was carrying. So I made plans to visit him in prison and finalize that and drop that resentment. Shortly after making that decision, the man actually committed suicide in prison. And I then heard another voice, and I didn't know what to do with that. But then the following morning, I heard one more time, I heard a voice that said there's nothing left to resent. And it just rung true that I couldn't carry that, that resent. If I did, it was just resending things through my mind again and again that were going to destroy me and everyone around me. So that was kind of the segue, which led me to even be open to doing a community project or doing any kind of community service. And, but once I did that, it all kind of came together. And eventually, as I said, I come from the property preservation industry. I'd seen people, even though we're working on vacant properties, you go to those neighborhoods numerous times. A lot of times you kind of get to know the people. And, we'd help people along the way while we were out at one of our properties to work. Excuse me, there, maybe be an elderly person next door that needed a little bit of help, and we would just do it. And I like that feeling. The people that work for me do that. And so starting where I was, I thought this is something that I could bring to the community at large, and not just be offering these types of services for loan servicers or banks or government agencies, but for people who are still in their homes that need the help.
So I can understand it, and I apologize. We're past a quarter of the hour. I have to do a station identification. My name is Paul Williams, Editor-in-Chief, Foreclosurepedia.org. We're on the Foreclosurepedia radio network. We simulcast throughout the United States and 109 different countries. Today we're speaking with Matt Williams, owner and founder of Fight the Blight. We're speaking today about purpose through pain, a journey from tragedy to healing. It's available right now. You can go to the website, fighttheblightInc.com. The book is available right now. It's on Kindle. It's in paperback. It's on Amazon. Get it, nation. Foreclosurepedia Nation, go today. Get it today. I want to ask a couple other questions, if I might.
Sure thing.
As we go down to the bottom of the hour. And as you know, we have another exciting guest, but we're going to wait for everybody to know who it is at the bottom of the hour. But talk to me a little bit about Fight the Blight. So I'm looking at your website here. You have your leadership, your media page, hoarding disorder support. Talk to me about that. What does that mean? So here I'm isolated, let's say. And look, I'll give you somewhat of a real story. My great aunt and grandmother raised me. They passed, as life does. And so I came in, to the house, and I'd been traveling forever, been in the military, been around the world. And there's all this stuff, right? This stuff that, to me, because I was always, a bolt bag away from another conflict on another continent. But talk to me. Hoarding disorder support. What's that mean? I mean, so somebody could go there, they could click the link, they could fill out some information. I mean, what happens after that? Do you just say, hi, we're going to show up, we're going to clean out your house? Talk to me about that process. Is there any type of meeting, support, therapeutic value? You have the board, Mr. Williams.
Yeah, absolutely. There is support. The way our program for hoarding disorder support is set up in a few different sections or categories, so to speak. Primarily, the first one is that we do offer regular hoarding disorder support groups. And we now offer those virtually as well. There was a lot of interest from across the country after we received some of the media coverage that we did. And we also offer them in person.
Well, I'm sorry to interrupt. I
Sure.
clicked the button, Hoarding Disorder Support. Walk the Foreclosurepedia Nation. What happens when somebody clicks that? Talk to us about the process. Because perhaps in the Foreclosurepedia Nation and others that hear us today, I'm sure everybody, either somebody or somebody in close proximity. I think it was Mr. Mailer, right? The 6 points, right? How we're interconnected. But walk us through that process.
Yeah, it's fairly informal, actually. We have people that come in through the website, and it can be as simple as clicking the contact us button and sending us a message. There is an application on our site as well for supports.
And that's what I'm driving at. Somebody clicks that, they need help, they know they need help, or a family member knows they need help. They click that button, some information is filled out. Talk to me about how from then and there, successful candidates, what happens? Files created, are there meetings? Is it just a brochure and have a nice day? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, the meetings, the support groups are cornerstone to this really working, in my belief. And these groups are peer based. I'm a certified peer specialist, so there's no therapist involved. There's no professor or teacher. These groups are peer led, and we have a couple of different formats of groups. The first initial group that people come into is based off of a book called Buried in Treasures, that is a really great book for anybody that's dealing with hoarding disorder or really wants to understand somebody that is. But we work through that together. And what happens is, as people talk, you mentioned the isolation. That's very typical with people dealing with hoarding disorder, because we as a people don't really know how to deal with that properly. We tend to want to impose what we believe a home situation should be and how a home should be kept on others. And people with hoarding disorder know that people don't really agree with their living situation, and they've heard a lot of well-meaning people in many cases offer to address a situation by essentially throwing away all their belongings, which is not the way to handle it. It's that can be very traumatic for the person, and they have a real connection to those items. They just don't understand very often themselves what that connection is. So they isolate because they just want to avoid that type of situation where people are trying to take these meaningful things from them. And these groups are the first opportunity for so many of the people that have come in to be in a situation, a social situation with people that do understand them and don't judge them. And they can cross support as well, because people come to that manifestation of hoarding disorder from many different paths. And each individual person needs to really understand their path and how they got there and what those items mean to them specifically, what they represent. Typically, in most cases, it can be traced back to a trauma. And they just need to identify that. And I've seen in the groups, once they do start to have that understanding of what their connection is to their things, they begin to become open to change. And
so allow me to probe a little bit deeper. Let's plumb the depths, if you will.
Sure.
We're both lodge members, so we know what that means.
Mm-hmm.
To that point, now, I'm not well educated, but I'm familiar with the DSM-5, Diagnostics and Statistics Manual. And in my understanding is that there's not really a holistic way to specifically identify this disorder, and it's a disorder. And you actually, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, you're actually on the bleeding, cutting edge of actually working and attempting to push forward, an agenda to get everybody on the same page to actually accept that this is not some sub-diagnosis. This is a very specific thing. Although you may have other things that prong out from it or spokes like on a bicycle, talk to the Foreclosurepedia Nation just a little bit about that. Because you are, Mr. Williams, you're on the bleeding, cutting edge of this.
Well, yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And yeah, hoarding disorder, there's really three factors that they look at when they're trying to make that diagnosis for it. Are they compulsively acquiring items that maybe they don't need or have or be able to afford necessarily or have a place for? Once they have those items, do they find great difficulty in discarding anything? Items that they have, again, no need for, no use for, and nowhere to store them. And is it causing a problem essentially in their life? So that's kind of what they look at. And we talk about that in the groups. And it's really interesting to watch people come to that recognition, that they meet all three of those, or some of them sometimes say two, not 2 out of 3. And so they're not, but to your question on how are we looking to move this forward, I believe that our approach, which is very unique, even though it's kind of like hiding in plain sight to me, like the whole program that we have. I mentioned earlier, I thought I would hear other organizations doing this type of thing and filling this gap. But when people come in and they come into the support groups and they begin to come to these realizations about themselves and they begin to become willing to move forward, motivation happens, when you want to make a change. But you also need the belief that change is actually possible, which is where we've been losing.
I want to change the world.
Yeah. And if you believe it's possible, you will. And I think you already have. They need that.
So you do feel, though, there should be some type of specific diagnostic code that is specific to hoarding disorders. Is that a fair statement?
That is, yeah. There definitely should be. It responds well to peer-based support, and our program, we add that support, and we're only able to do that locally or regionally where we're at right now, in addition to the support groups. Whenever they're ready and they need the help, we will go into their homes with them and help them sort their items. Obviously, remove things as they become willing to do that. And we do have some funding in place for professional therapy sessions, as they're needed. But putting those things together sounds very, like I said, hiding in plain sight. But it's something that's not offered anywhere that I can find in the country. That a program that is kind of vertically integrated or holistic, that offers both the kind of therapeutic group atmosphere, but also the practical hands-on work to allow the people that once they want to make the change and they become agreeable to the change, that they also believe that the change is possible. And so I think that's why we're seeing the results.
We're coming up on the bottom of the hour, and we're actually going to extend this. I have my guest. He'll be here in a moment. I have to do another station identification. This is Paul Williams, editor-in-chief, Foreclosurepedia.org. Today we're speaking with Matt Williams, Fight the Blight on the Foreclosurepedia Radio Network. We're talking about his new book that just came out, ladies and gentlemen, Purpose Through Pain, A Journey from Tragedy to Healing. This book, now in Kindle format, is also available on paperback. It is on Amazon. And I want to get in a couple other plugs, if you will. Just bear with me for a moment. And ladies and gentlemen, FightTheBlightInc.com. You're a nonprofit, correct? You're a tax-exempt organization. For example, I want to send you $20. I can write that off, yes?
Absolutely.
And I have the ability to come to your website and actually simply click a button. I can use a credit card, PayPal, anything like that, correct?
Absolutely, yeah.
And let's just say, because the Foreclosurepedia Nation, excuse me, we're a massive entity, right? We are, as ZZ Top used to say, nationwide. So what if I didn't want to just send some money? Could I, adopt a lawn? Could I help and sponsor an individual or individuals in a session? Could I perhaps pay for X amount of cubic debris under your supervision and guidelines to be removed to help my fellow neighbor? Could I do that with you?
Yeah, absolutely. All of the above. We do have a sponsorship program that we've just begun. That's right along those lines. Where at least locally, we here in southwestern Pennsylvania, we have that option to sponsor.
And let me interrupt if I might. Describe to us. A lot of people, they get glassy-eyed. The Southwest, Arizona, whatever. Southwestern Pennsylvania. What is that? Is it Pittsburgh? Are we talking Pennsylvania?
Pittsburgh.
All right, very good.
Pittsburgh area. Yeah. So that's where we're at. And there's a sponsorship for taking sponsoring one person's lawn care for the whole season, for example.
And if perhaps, because I have a lot of journalists that listens to us here, if they wanted to reach out and talk to you, I see on your website it says media inquiry. To interview you, to discuss what's going on, yeah? They can just click that and be there, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. Always glad to talk about this. It's something that I'm passionate about and means so much and is so needed. So yeah, that definitely, if there's anybody that would like to have these discussions with me, please get in touch. And to mention that every purchase of the book, the Purpose Through Pain, also benefits Fight the Blight as an organization as well. So even just purchasing the book helps us along and helps along this mission.
Excellent. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've been speaking today with Matt Williams, Fight the Blight, located at FightTheBlightInc.com. This is a great book. It's out. Folks, I've read through this. It's inspirational. It's motivational. purpose through pain, a journey from tragedy to healing. Mr. Williams, we thank you for your time.
Thanks so much, Paul.